In this video, we are going to tell you when to use essere and when to use avere in the perfect tense. Cominciamo!
Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti a Coffee Break Italian. Io sono Mark.
Salve a tutti, io sono Francesca.
And as Francesca said, we are talking about avere and essere in the perfect tense, or indeed all compound tenses, as a result of Kathy's question. Kathy got in touch and asked us, how do you know when to use avere or essere in the perfect tense? Una buona domanda, Francesca.
Sì, davvero un'ottima domanda, grazie. Allora, vediamo un po'.
Okay, over to you then.
Okay, allora Mark, I was thinking to make things really simple and easy to understand, I would say that most verbs in Italian use avere in the perfect tense, as it happens in English.
Yeah, so most verbs using avere. Now, avere, of course, means to have, and in English we say I have done, I have gone, I have eaten, and so on. So in Italian, we would say I have eaten.
Ho mangiato.
Ho mangiato. Or I have slept.
Ho dormito.
Okay, ho dormito. What about I have read a book?
Ho letto. Ho letto un libro.
Ho letto un libro. So 3 examples there, all of which would use avere, like most verbs in Italian. However,
we also have another option in Italian when forming the perfect tense or indeed all compound tenses. And the other option is verb essere, to be.
So certain verbs, and they all kind of fall into particular categories, don't they?
Yes, we can say that there are some specific categories which use the verb essere instead of the verb avere. First of all, verbs describing a change of place. So verbs of motion which are not just motion in itself, but motion going from one place and ending up in a different place. Probably the most common verb is the verb andare, to go.
Okay, can we have an example of that then, please, Francesca?
Sì, possiamo dire Lisa è andata a Bari.
Okay, so Lisa è andata a Bari. So here, rather than a, which would be the part of avere, we've got e. And e is obviously part of essere. And because we're using essere, there's something else that happens here. Did you notice what happens with this past participle? Because we're talking about Lisa. Lisa is female, and therefore we need to make the past participle have a feminine agreement. And that is why we get an e at the end of Lisa è andata a Bari.
Esatto, Mark, perfetto. We also have verbs describing a change again, but a change of state. So changes in general. And I was thinking a verb which is really clear to understand in this respect is the verb invecchiare, to age or to grow old.
Indeed.
Invecchiare.
Indeed. So let's have an example of that.
Sì, gli zii sono invecchiati.
Okay, so gli zii, so those could be the uncles, or it could be the uncle and aunt, the couple.
Sì.
Sono invecchiati. They have got old, they've aged. Gli zii sono invecchiati. And there is a change of state, as you've said there. So first time we had a change of place. Lisa started somewhere else and ended up in Bari. And the zii started younger and they've ended up getting a little older.
Esatto, sì. We should not forget about another category, which is quite large because it contains all the reflexive verbs. So if you're using a reflexive verb in Italian, describing an action performed onto the same person who is doing it, then it's always essere we are using in the past. For example, let's take the verb vestirsi, to get dressed, so to get oneself dressed in Italian. And we could say Lea ed Eva si sono vestite bene.
Okay, so Lea ed Eva si sono vestite bene. So they got dressed up, they got dressed well. So here we've got sono, part of essere. We said that this is a reflexive verb, so we've got a reflexive pronoun in there, si. And of course, because it's essere, we also have to agree the past participle, vestite, because we're talking about Lea and Eva, two females. Lea ed Eva si sono vestite bene. Perfetto.
Proprio così, sì. And we should not forget about one specific and very important verb, which is the verb to be, essere.
Okay.
And unlike other languages, to form the past tense of essere in Italian, we do need essere again.
So we've got this category of sort of special verbs, which includes essere itself. So how would we say, I have been happy?
Sono stato o sono stata felice.
So sono stato, or sono stata, depending on who's talking. Felice, I have been happy. Sono stato or stata felice. And note each time we could have talked about them having gotten dressed, they have got older, Lisa has gone to Bari, but even though we're using a have verb in English, we use essere in Italian.
Esatto, Mark. And as a final comment, probably obviously there are a lot of other nuances and maybe exceptions. So a good idea when in doubt is always to consult a good dictionary, which will always tell you whether you need essere or avere to form the perfect tense or a compound tense in Italian.
Benissimo. And I would also say every time you're reading, really try to focus on those verbs and notice when a verb uses essere or avere, because that helps it go in and it helps it sort of stay in your mind. Okay, well, Kathy, we hope that has helped you understand when you use avere or essere in the perfect tense. If you've got a question like Kathy, then simply get in touch with us. You can send your questions to coffeebreakquestions.com. We'll pick up your question and hopefully be able to include that in a future episode of our show. And finally, talking about the show, if you've enjoyed this, then please give it a like and make sure you subscribe to our channel, clicking that little bell icon that appears, and that way you'll be notified whenever we post new videos to help you with your Italian.
And if you wish to practice this grammar point further, you can write 2 sentences, one with essere and one with avere, and post them in the comments here below.
Perfetto. Allora, Francesca, è stato un piacere.
Sì, bravo Mark, e abbiamo imparato molto.
Brava. Excellent. Okay, we'll see you again very soon. Thank you, Kathy, for sending in your question, and grazie molte e arrivederci.
Grazie a tutti, ciao ciao!